Hold up, because what Dawn Staley just revealed about South Carolina's roster could flip the entire season on its head. Before we dive in, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment right now. Let me know if you think South Carolina should stay patient or push for a faster return. While the spotlight is on rankings and star power, Dawn Staley is quietly making moves that could decide who's cutting down nets in March. Her latest comments on Agot and Maddy McDaniel aren't just injury updates, they're a message. A message about trust. A message about timing. And a message to the rest of the country that South Carolina isn't rushing anything, because they don't have to. So lock in, because once you hear what Staley said, you'll understand why the most dangerous version of this team still hasn't shown itself yet. Let's get into it. Before we get into it, make sure you like, subscribe, and drop a comment right now, because South Carolina women's basketball is entering one of the most important stretches of the season, and what Dawn Staley just revealed could quietly decide how far this team goes when it matters most. Because while everyone is locked in on the stars, the rankings, and the marquee matchups, there's another story unfolding behind the scenes, a story about patience, trust, and two young guards whose health could change the entire rhythm of this South Carolina team. Let's talk about Agot. And let's talk about Maddy McDaniel. And most importantly, let's talk about what Dawn Staley is really telling. South Carolina doesn't panic. That's not how Dawn Staley operates. This program has been built on discipline, long-term vision, and doing things the right way, even when fans want answers immediately. And that's exactly the tone Staley set when she addressed the status of Agot. Maker's absence hasn't been loud. It hasn't been dramatic. But it has been noticeable. This is a player whose energy, length, and defensive versatility bring a different edge to the backcourt. And when she went into concussion protocol, South Carolina didn't rush. They didn't hint. They didn't leak timelines. They simply waited. And now, for the first time in a while, Dawn Staley let the curtain move just enough. She confirmed that Agot is progressing. Not cleared. Not rushed back. But progressing. She's been able to warm up. She's been involved in limited practice situations. And that matters, because with concussions, the physical part is only half the battle. Staley made it clear, this isn't about a single game. This isn't about rankings. This is about protecting a young player from long-term damage. And if you know Dawn Staley, you know that once she starts publicly acknowledging progress, it means the internal checkpoints are being met. But there's still caution. A lot of it. Second concussions are dangerous. Staley knows it. The staff knows it. And Maker isn't being thrown back into live action just because she feels okay. Everything is deliberate. Everything is measured. Every step forward is earned. And that's the quiet part of this update that matters most. Now let's shift to Maddy McDaniel, because her situation is completely different, but just as important. McDaniel's season hasn't been linear. Between earlier disruptions, physical setbacks, and rotation adjustments, she's had to fight just to stay connected to the rhythm of this team. And when Dawn Staley labeled her status as day-to-day, that wasn't coach speak, that was honesty. Day-to-day doesn't mean minor. It means monitored. It means evaluated. It means decisions are being made based on how she responds, not on how badly the team wants her on the floor. And again, that's classic Dawn Staley. South Carolina doesn't force timelines. They don't gamble with health. They don't sacrifice March for February. What's interesting is how calmly Staley speaks about both players, because it tells you how confident she is in the depth of this roster. This team doesn't need to rush anyone back. And that luxury allows South Carolina to prioritize the long game. But make no mistake, both Maker and McDaniel Agot gives this team defensive switchability, length on the perimeter, and transition disruption. She's the kind of player who doesn't always show up in box scores but shows up everywhere else. Her return adds another layer to South Carolina's already suffocating defense. Maddy McDaniel brings pace. She brings spark. She brings unpredictability. And when she's right, she adds a change of gear option that keeps defenses from settling in. And here's the bigger picture, this is about timing. Dawn Staley isn't trying to win headlines in February. She's trying to have her roster whole when the pressure is highest. Every update, every careful word, every we'll see is about positioning this team for March and beyond. That's why the injury updates weren't dramatic. That's why there was no rush. That's why the tone stayed calm. Because South Carolina knows who they are. And here's the truth that fans need to hear, the most dangerous version of this team hasn't even stepped on the floor yet. When Maker is fully cleared. When McDaniel is fully healthy. When rotations tighten. When roles become sharper. That's when South Carolina becomes terrifying. Dawn Staley has seen this movie before. She knows when to push and when to protect. And right now, she's protecting, not just players, but the championship ceiling of this team. So don't overreact to absences. Don't read panic into patience. And don't confuse silence for uncertainty. South Carolina is waiting. Strategically. Deliberately. Confidently. And when these pieces fall back into place, the rest of the country is going to remember exactly why Dawn Staley's program sets the standard. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. Do you think South Carolina should keep easing Maker and McDaniel back, or do you want to see them sooner? Either way, stay locked in, because this season is far from done, and the real story is just beginning. And that's the reality of where South Carolina stands right now. Dawn Staley isn't guessing. She isn't gambling. She's building toward the moment that matters most, and the way she's handling Agot, Maker and Maddy McDaniel tells you everything about the standard of this program. Health over headlines. Patience over panic. March over momentary noise. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. Do you trust Dawn Staley's patience, or do you think South Carolina needs these guards back immediately? Either way, stay locked in, because as this roster gets healthier, the rest of the country is about to find out just how dangerous this team really is. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.